we love and those that we come across on a daily basis. And as I said, we're very fortunate is that we have people that come to us with great expertise every week, and tonight we're especially blessed. Our very special speaker this evening is Dr. Joseph Cannizzaro, MD. He's also a national marketing director with our company. But let me give you a little background on him. We not only love him, but we admire him. Dr. Cannizzaro has practiced pediatrics for 32 years with specialties in holistic integrative pediatrics, nutrition, and preventive medicine. He is the founder and managing pediatrician for the Pediatrician's Care Unit and Cortese Health Institute in Longwood, Florida. Dr. Cannizzaro did a fellowship at Walter Reed Army Hospital and is a registered medical technologist. He served as captain in the Army Hospital at West Point, New York. His medical degree was from the University of Bologna School of Medicine and Surgery, Bologna, Italy. A rotating internship was done with Cornell University and New York Medical College. His pediatric residency was the Yale Healthcare System and University of Connecticut School of Medicine. He received his certification in holistic medicine from the American Board of Holistic Medicine. So Dr. Cannizzaro is going to discuss with you really answers to a book he has written, the 4A epidemic. That's almost a tongue twister there. The statistics are really alarming if we look at our children and the picture of their health. Diagnosed cases of autism, ADHD, asthma, and allergies are increasing exponentially, especially among children. If your child is struggling with any of these conditions, you really want to not only hear what he has to say tonight, but get the information that he shares with you in his book. So, Dr. Cannizzaro, I'm going to turn it over to you. We always are blessed. You always give us such good information, and we can hardly wait.
Well, thank you very much, Cheryl, and welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for coming on to the call on this Memorial Day. I hope I meet your expectations with some useful information. It's always a privilege and a pleasure to do Cheryl's call. And I was asked to review my book, The Answers for the 4A Epidemic. But my story goes back to July of 2000 when, practicing integrative holistic medicine, I was looking for functional food, for a whole food concentrate at the time. That one of my moms came in and introduced me to Juice Plus, and after I read the studies, it really just took minutes for me to come on board. I'm going to review my book as an author, as its author and a physician, but also as a physician member of an international elite corps, Juice Plus docs, and I'm very proud to be part of this elite group of physicians that utilize Juice Plus in their clinical practices. And I'll really describe my experience really with the healing properties of Juice Plus in healing these 4A kids, the autism, ADHD, allergy, asthma children. While I was researching for a book I co-authored with Dr. Don Colbert, Eat This and Live for Kids, I came across the epidemic. And Dr. Bernard Rimland, one of my mentors, the first director of the Autism Research Institute, pioneered our current understanding of autism. He felt the need to identify subtypes of autism in order to discover the underlying causes of recurrent symptoms and to determine the most effective treatments. Furthering Dr. Rimland's work, the current director of the ARI, Dr. Steve Edelson, has described a subtype that has emerged over the past 20 years that he has termed the medically fragile. During their first 2 years, these children suffer from digestive and immune-related illnesses. Now, my reaction to the following observation made by Dr. Edelson was the primary reason for my writing this book. He said that these kids respond well to nutrition-related biomedical interventions, some of them improving to the point of recovery. Who are the most important healers for these children? The ones in the trenches really doctoring them, their parents. The burden that these moms and dads bear has made me very sensitive to their needs, and I want to provide them with ongoing encouragement, fortitude, and support as they develop the combined parenting, medical, and nutritional skills they need to bring their sons and daughters into the fullest possible measure of healing. The second major reason I wrote this book is to enable people, all of us, to recognize our involvement in the autism epidemic and to initiate and participate in the healing process in their given circumstances. Something very remarkable that Dr. Edelson did a couple of years ago. He developed a research project that included visits to thousands of homes of families with spectrum children. I'll refer to them as spectrum because that's where these children were, where they fit, even also adults. And he went to these homes to learn directly from the parents. He wanted to learn exactly what they did to help their children. It's important to make a point here. Dr. Edelson is a distinguished physician, clinician, director of VARI, author and lecturer and professor, and he wanted to learn from moms of autistic kids. He wanted to see firsthand how the children were feeling and responding. He talked and played with each child to determine how well they communicated, interacted socially, and used imaginative play. And we all have been and currently are exposed to the primary causes of the 4A epidemic: environmental toxicity and nutrition deficiency. We're all on a spectrum where different combinations of signs and symptoms manifest in one or more of our functional systems our bodies are composed of. The digestive system, for example, the immune and the central nervous system. Unexplained headaches and fatigue and insomnia, learning and concentration problems and dementia. Some of these are symptom complexes that all of us experience at one time or another. And I would submit to you the array of micronutrients in Juice Plus heal through detoxification and contribute to optimizing the function of these systems through nutrition. This is my opinion through my clinical research, treating these children for almost 15 years. It's the Juice Plus story of promoting healthy lifestyle living. Prevention is at hand for us and our patients and our preferred customers. Instances where you'll hear doctor-patient relationships in this talk, in the healing process, really can be applied to the distributor-preferred customer because you're all doctoring and healing. I think some of my friends are recording this, and if you are to obtain a recording, I think when you go through it and listen to it, refer to the Juice Plus studies because that's what I'm referring to here when we talk about improving immune function, etc. And we've got so many studies that really can back up a lot of what I'm saying. Now, I want to take a look at each of the causative agents in turn in an effort to help you understand where a child's disabilities may come from. And you'll now hear exactly where the Juice Plus micronutrients, where they actually heal once they're absorbed and assimilated. Causative agents are good and bad gut flora. These are the microorganisms. Immune system dysregulation, toxins and detoxification dysfunction, and nutritional depletion. The gut digestive system is an open tube exposed to the pathogenic microorganisms and toxins of our environment. But the fact is that the wall of a healthy gut is covered entirely by beneficial bacteria, packed so tightly that an impenetrable barrier is formed. The good bacteria protect the gut from outside threats. But if these beneficial bacteria are damaged, the gut wall cannot function protectively, and this can lead to a pathologic situation. Juice Plus, I have found, nourishes gut flora and allows them to perform things like neutralizing toxins. This is what the gut flora do. They really run everything. They produce organic acids near the gut wall to reduce the activity of bad microbes. They provide a physical barrier of protection. They render pathogenic microorganisms harmless by producing various substances. They engage the immune system to respond to invaders, and they chelate or remove or neutralize heavy metals. Another function of the gut bacteria is to provide energy and nourishment for the cells lining the gut wall. If abnormal gut flora take over, diseased gut wall cells result, which are incapable of digesting and absorbing nutrients. With normal balanced gut flora in concert with well-nourished gut wall cells, proteins can be digested, carbohydrates fermented, and normal breakdown of lipids and fiber can occur. Any damage to gut flora can result in reduced flow of nutrients through the gut wall into the bloodstream. Also, inflammation from numerous causes can damage gut flora, which leads to leaky gut, a condition in which the gut wall becomes pervious due to faulty barrier function. Now, the second causative agent, immune dysregulation, and this really comes from environmental toxicity, exposure, antibiotics, drugs, diet, and diseases. It leads to what's called gut dysbiosis, and it leads to immune dysregulation. A word on the gut-brain connection. Dr. Rimland, who stimulated thinking about autism as a biologic disorder for the first time in 1964 in his book, Infantile Autism, he felt that the primary basis for autism is dysfunction of the brain stem. It's called the brain stem hypothesis. This proposes that injury to the brain stem, is related to toxins. Autistic children have an extremely high incidence of constipation, abdominal distension. They have loss of vocalization, and really gastrointestinal dysfunction. A lot of them have gastroesophageal reflux. Toxins that gain entry into the nerve centers in the brainstem suppress the generation of nerve impulses that establish normal muscle tone. When these parasympathetic signals are suppressed, the muscles of the gut and other structures lack normal tone. So this affects the muscles of vocalization and, of course, the muscles of the esophagus and the intestinal wall, and that's where the distension and constipation, where it comes from. Another causative agent is detoxification dysfunction. Toxins such as thimerosal disrupt the function of a key enzyme in the methylation process. This is a metabolic pathway that, among other things, produces molecules for detoxification and antioxidation. Furthermore, environmental toxins can suppress the production and reduce the availability of the body's most potent detoxifier and antioxidant, glutathione. By studying the abnormal methylation and detoxification pathways in spectrum children, we can begin to understand their metabolic problems and susceptibilities. And here, where Juice Plus comes in, the consumption of antioxidant-rich fruits and vegetables that we all know and we've studied, and you'll see in many of the studies, this is how it works in its detoxification process by reducing oxidative stress, etc., which is involved with all detoxification systems. Detoxification begins in the liver, but it can be accomplished completely only with the participation of detoxification systems of each and every cell. The fourth causative agent is nutritional depletion. A final significant factor in the burgeoning 4A epidemic is intimately interwoven with the others, nutritional depletion. Toxic chemicals have entered our food chain and water supply in unprecedented quantities, giving rise to the chain of events that result in 4A pathologies. The nutrient density of food plants is directly related to the soil, composed of organic matter, mineral composition, soil microbes, and the chemicals used to grow plants all come into play. Not only has chemical agriculture devastated the nutrient content of our food, storage procedures and food processing have also added to the depletion. Today's agriculture relies on herbicides, pesticides, and stimulant fertilizers to bring to market foods that are as much as 80% less nourishing than 50 years ago. My name is Jason. I don't wear pull-ups or have stomach aches or get scared a lot or get bullied. I don't bite myself or hit myself or throw myself down on the floor. I don't hurt inside or get upset because of it. I don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and bang my head for 2 hours either. I have a bunch of friends and I'm not worried about anything. I don't have autism, but my little brother does. I'll never forget Jason. So what are the new four new childhood epidemics? Well, we've talked about it a bit. Within the past 40 years of medical history, we began to realize that not only were rates of autism, ADHD, asthma, and allergies growing into epidemic proportions, but they are also connected to each other at the root. Not only do they share overlapping symptoms, but they also often appear in the same individual. How are these disorders related? What is their commonality? What element unites them all? The answer is the state of the digestive system. Every 4A patient has an abnormal digestive system, which in turn impacts the immune and nervous systems, producing a familiar litany of symptoms. Everything starts in the gut. And where does Juice Plus begin its journey? Right there. Is it a real epidemic? We're all involved in the epidemic with four faces, simply because we're all exposed to the same cause. Toxicity permeates our ecosystem. The human body responds to the threat in particular ways. When you add other factors to our modern lifestyles, you get a spectrum or array of disorders that are interwoven with each other. The reason this epidemic came to light in children is because they are the most vulnerable. Although we characterize what's happening as an epidemic, the children themselves must be evaluated and treated as individuals, because each person is affected in his very own specific way. We can see patterns and cause and effect, but many factors make each child's situation unique. Once we begin to understand where this epidemic came from, we need next to determine just where each individual fits. Only then can we pursue healing. And what are the current rates of 4A disorders? How many children have been hit by this epidemic? Well, it's 30 million. When psychiatric conditions and the disorders in learning, behavior, speech and language, sensory integration, and motor skills are included, this certainly qualifies as an epidemic. Is it an epidemic of genetic origin? Genes don't cause epidemics. The environmental changes occurring in a genetically predisposed child sounds like a more plausible explanation. Autism is a severe developmental disorder characterized by significant disabilities in social interaction, communication, and behavior. These children with autism and those with ADHD, which is really the same, only lesser severity, tend to suffer from asthma and allergies. Many also contend with other comorbid conditions such as depression, anxiety, mood disorders, bipolar disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, sleep disorders, and more. ADHD, of course, can be characterized by age-inappropriate impulsivity, inattention, and often hyperactivity. These symptoms can lead to problems in academic, emotional, and social behaviors. We find that most kids who have ADHD also have one or more significant psychiatric, physical, or behavioral problems. Asthma, we know it's an chronic inflammation of the bronchial tubes. These folks with allergies have a hypersensitive immune system that reacts to outside substances in an exaggerated fashion. Now, looking at the root causes, as we've pointed out, I believe the finger of blame can be pointed at 4 root causes, every one of which involves environmental changes. This can be listed as follows: increase in toxins, diminished ability to counteract toxins, decrease in nutritional quality, and the administration of childhood vaccinations, too many, too toxic, and too young. I'll look at that in a moment. The diminished ability to counteract toxins. The bodies of healthy adults can eliminate and counteract the negative effects of toxins from food additives, drugs, alcohol, microorganisms, metabolic waste products, and other contaminants. Children's smaller and immature bodies, however, cannot keep up with the deluge, especially when they have been compromised in any way. Most of the energy needed to detoxify goes toward growth in children. Decrease in nutritional quality. Without ingesting beneficial nutrients in sufficient quantity and balance, no one's body, child or adult, can maintain itself in a healthy state. I don't have to talk about how the diet of American children has deteriorated. Autistic children and those with ADHD are often very picky eaters, which adds to an inevitable decline in nutritional balance. Now, the increase in vaccinations. Many studies show a significant increase in the incidence of allergies and sensitivities in children that have coincided with their vaccination program. I am not anti-vaccination. I just prefer safer vaccinations administered to healthy children without toxins over an extended time period. Another reason I became interested in the 4A epidemic, when I realized it was imperative that these children would need to be evaluated and treated by a functional integrative physician, the decision was made to become their doc. A functional integrative physician is characterized where we emphasize relationship-centered care, we focus on the unique characteristics of the individual person, and accept that health and healing are unique to the individual and may differ for two people with the same disease. We regard the patient as an active partner who takes personal responsibility for health. We search for and remove barriers that may be blocking the body's innate healing response. What do the symptoms tell us? What can we account for them? How can we counter them? We assess the patient's real needs. Of these ingredients needed for optimal biologic functioning, which ones do we give attention to first? Well, we've mentioned it a bit. Food, supplemental nutrients, look at the environment, rest, exercise, loving and health-promoting relationships. What are the healing factors and how do they work in combination? The human body has been endowed by its creator with the incredible ability to heal itself, but we have seen the formidable challenges our children face that threaten this healing power. Our mission is to give every 4A child his life back to the fullest extent possible. Since every child is a unique individual, both the causes of his particular problems and the healing are uniquely individual and different for each child. Our hope is that the healing journey through development of an individualized, healthy lifestyle will lead each of our children into long, healthy lives. 4 healing factors: nutrition, supplements, detoxification, and medication. Medications need to be orchestrated in a synergistic program that is tailored for each 4A child. Each healing factor has an effect on the others. They work synergistically, each amplifying the effects of the other. We must give these children what they need and take away what they do not need. The 4 factors, when combined conscientiously, are meant to do the following: heal the digestive system, which will help eliminate the major source of toxicity in the body. Detoxify the immune and nervous systems. Another important intervention in the healing process is education. And as the child begins to detoxify with proper nutrition, he or she will be more capable of learning how to best live. As we will see, this applies to each one of us. This is the natural integrative approach to healing. Nutritional therapy. To start this component, we need to determine if the child has any food allergies as well as food sensitivities or intolerances. Now, supplemental therapy, I want to tell you about Will. Had been diagnosed as a spectrum child about 2 years before his mother brought him in to see me when he was 4 years old. Like all autistic children, Will had numerous allergies, the symptoms of which manifested on his skin as eczema. Also, since birth, he had manifested a peculiar repetitive movement of his head. His neck muscles would flex his head, which turned down to the right side. This occurred many times a day and appeared to be a motor tic. Will's mom was having a very difficult time changing her son's eating habits, so nutritional therapies had been minimally effective. Will's communication, cognitive, and behavioral problems were severely limiting his progress. Nevertheless, I formulated a plan based upon updated laboratory studies and a new dietary program. But before we started, I told Will's mom, as I do to all the patients, with all the patients, I told Will's mom that I wanted Will to begin taking a particular whole food concentrate supplement. I explained that the supplement would furnish Will with thousands of vitamins, minerals, and enzymes that he could never eat enough food on a daily basis to obtain, even if he had been compliant. This was the only therapeutic recommendation I made to begin with. Within 2 weeks, his mom called me. I could tell she was crying as she tried to speak. Dr. C, I'm looking at a miracle. Will's motor tic is gone. In the course of the next month, Will began to crave the fruits and vegetables from which the concentrate was derived. Soon thereafter, he began to show improvements in all areas. Definitive progress was evident. To me, this was landmark proof of the value of supplementation with 4A children. And, of course, with our Juice Plus. Their systems, these kids' systems may have been depleted and degraded to the point that they cannot absorb enough nutrients from food alone. And here's especially is where I see the whole food concentrate on how it works. We're learning that that certain foods need to be eliminated while we're still modifying their food preferences. So Juice Plus is much more easily absorbed. Now, detoxification therapy, the sine qua non for detoxification is nutrition, especially concentrated nutrition, as I've stated. Everything starts in the gut, where toxins give rise to a multitude of problems. My approach to healing through detoxification begins with optimizing gut digestive function, because it serves as a prerequisite to protect the vitality of our essential cells that make up the immune and nervous systems. Medication therapy, especially for some of the 4A disorders, prescription medicines are an important part of the healing process. Some of them accomplish things that no natural supplement or procedure can supply. We also need to resort to anti-inflammatories, antibiotics, antifungals, and antivirals in our fight against a multifaceted enemy. The most important healing therapy of all is the one that will take you the distance, and that is love. Without the unconditional love of mom and dad, children cannot make headway against so many invisible adversaries at the same time. And I tell them I'm standing right beside you, supplying solid information and tangible hope. What is accomplished when functional integrative doctor-patient relationships are established? Functional integrative medicine gives major emphasis to the importance of relationship in healing. The functional integrative doctor strives to communicate and maintain a connection with the patient. The practice of functional integrative medicine helps empower patients physically, emotionally, physiologically, and mentally for the tasks they face on a daily basis, which are formidable. Successful implementation of dietary programs, detoxification protocols, and supplement recommendations is extremely challenging. It's one thing to prescribe a treatment, but it's quite another to achieve compliance and successful completion of a therapeutic program. And here I make the analogy with the Juice Plus distributor and preferred customer, because I see the functioning, it's basically the same. Some of the final recommendations for healing these children as we move forward. After many hours of study and preparation for writing the book, I experienced that epiphany that we're all in this together. The causes are all in and around all of us. Once the causes have been recognized and we've begun to understand how to achieve healing, we must take this knowledge and apply it to our lives, to all living plants and animals. Studies continue to emerge in 4A research showing that many methods, there's no detectable difference in efficacy when a therapy is administered by a parent or a professional. We need all hands on deck, and we must continue to impart to one another as many skills as we can learn. A real partnership between all players is needed as we invent smart ways of sharing ideas and mining data. Our data collection will allow us to learn how the different dimensions, medical, behavioral, educational, relate to one another. Which treatments produce which effects on patients with which characteristics. What the dimensions are of the profound heterogeneity of symptoms. Learning will occur while we are doing. We know enough already that we do not need to delay. The collaborative model must give rise to further effective guided research. Now, functional integrative, I'm going over time here. Functional integrative medicine is premised on patients being treated as whole persons, minds and spirits, as well as physical bodies, who participate actively in their own health. One of the most significant and challenging dimensions of functional medicine is the inclusion of spirituality in both physician and patient, in helping them understand their health and healing. A spiritual perspective in medicine recognizes that the inner life can sustain wounds and illness, as well as being a source of vitality and orientation toward healing. All of us, whether we are physicians, parents, or 4A children, move through changes in our spiritual lives. We all have moments of uncertainty, doubt, sorrow, and suffering. But when there is a mutual willingness to open ourselves to these difficulties and to share them with others, then we have taken the first step toward healing. For this reason, therapies directed toward addressing the functional links between spirit, brain, and body should be particularly effective in treating a range of 4A symptoms. And that's where a lot of the mind-body therapies come in. Mental imagery and biofeedback, meditation. I've learned to include many of our suffering children in my prayers, for I believe God can touch them. I also include in my prayers their parents, asking God to give them wisdom and trust in dark times and trials. This does not answer all of my questions, but it helps me know what to do next. I cannot determine what it all means any more than you can, but I can put my trust in the one who has a purpose for everything. Cheryl, that's my conclusion.
That was just beautiful. You know, as I listen to you, first of all, I've always so loved and admired you for your passion for children, but for people, just healing overall for everybody, and just your spirit and your, you know, passion to bring it to other people. And what really comes through here is not only are we in this together, but we can make a difference. I mean, we as a body of people, as a community in Juice Plus, can make a huge difference to extend out, you know, that help and support that people like yourself can direct. And I'm honored to be part of this company, part of the Juice Plus family, and to know people like yourself, because, you know, just my own experience with children, my background was it was child development and learning disabilities, and that was so long ago. I mean, so much. When I say that, I've been with this company now for 26 years, so it's been 26 years. But the difference in what seemed to be a problem then was just minute. It was just so small compared to what the problem is today. And it hurts our hearts because it affects everybody, as you said. And it's just a short amount of time for such a huge, as you said, exponential growth of what's happening to our children and our population in the world we live in. So thank you so much for your information tonight, and for everyone. I know myself, I want to read all the details as far as your book is concerned, but just thank you for your information, but also for your loving passion and generosity in learning and knowing this and sharing it with others.
Thank you very much, Cheryl.
Thank you. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night, Cheryl.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks,
Good night, Cheryl.
Beautiful talk.